Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of The Bug Warrior. Path of Exile 2 Dawn of the Hunt was just released, and once again we find ourselves going through the campaign. If you happen to select the Witch as your class, this video will help you beat the hardest challenge in the campaign, which I believe is the first time you encounter Count Geonor in Act 1 Normal. Why is Count Geonor so difficult? Because you are facing a boss that has extremely difficult mechanics, deals a lot of damage, his cold attacks will slow you down and make you an easy target, but worst of all, let's be real, we are only getting started, so we don't have anything close to a decent build with decent gear, so taking on Geonor and winning is truly a feat. That being said, with the new patch, new challenges arise for the Witch, as both Flame Wall and Raging Spirits got nerfed. Last season you could go all in with minions and Flame Wall, and that alone would take care of Count Geonor, but this time you will need a little extra. Alright, so the first thing we all need to understand is that you will die a few times before you learn to master the mechanics again. If you haven't played Path of Exile 2 in a while, like me, this is completely normal, so don't feel bad if you get killed many times. I personally lost count of how many times I died, probably around 20, before defeating Count Geonor, but honestly the adjustments I had to do in the end, which are the ones I'm sharing with you, should allow you to defeat this guy. Okay, so first things first, the skills. I'm using minions to deal damage, but most important to distract Count Geonor and his goals from attacking me. Therefore I have a scepter that gives me the skeletal warrior skill. For this skill you only need the first 2 levels, since they require Zero Spirit. Remember that you activate the minions by clicking on the plus sign. Regarding the support gem, I am using Last Gasp, which allow minions to die 4 seconds after their life has depleted to 0. Next, I'm using Skeletal Arsonist with Arcane Tempo, then Skeletal Sniper with Martial Tempo, next Raging Spirits with Fire Infusion, and those 4 are all the types of minions we will be using in this build. Regarding the spells, I'm using Contagion, then Essence Drain with Persistence and Scattershot, Unearth with Minion Instability, and Flame Wall with Spell Cascade. The main damage will come from Contagion with Essence Drain, but Flame Wall will be very important to keep Count Geonor burning and that damage doesn't drop. Next, let's look at the gear. You will need a wand that either gives you +1 to all skills or +1 to minion skills. The scepter should give you skeletal warrior minion and some percent of spirit that you will use for your spells and minions. I have simple rings with maximum mana, so there I know I can improve. Boots are very important and they need to have the +10% movement speed, since you need to move a lot with Count Geonor. The rest of my gear I'm only trying to maximize armor, evasion and energy shield. Regarding the flasks, you need both a greater life and greater mana flask. I tried first with the medium ones and it wasn't enough. If you can get a chance to gain a charge when you kill an enemy, that will be great since you won't run out of life. For the charm, I'm using cold resistance, of course, as most of Count Geonor's attacks are cold related. Last but not least, your passive skills. I only have 20 points so far from leveling up to level 17 and from completing side quests or defeating bosses. Most of my points are going towards more life or damage for my minions, but at the left, a very important node that allows me to recharge the energy shield faster. Now we get to the fun part regarding the boss mechanics. You basically want to spam Flame Wall at Count Geonor to begin, combined with Contagion and Essence Drain. Between the Flame Walls and the damage over time from Essence Drain, your damage should never drop. Just keep moving, let the count focus on your minions, and in less than a minute you should be facing Geonor the Putrid Wolf, which is stage 2. Here the damage resets of course, but same principle, try to keep up your damage as much as possible. Again, use Flame Wall and Contagion with Essence Drain. However, Geonor has one of the most difficult mechanics in the whole game that make this fight last longer than usual. When he begins saying his poem or whatever it is at the fog phase, the damage counter resets again, so basically just focus on surviving. For that you've got your minions, and I suggest to throw some Flame Walls at the center of the map before the wolves appear. Remember, you need to dodge Geonor's attacks 1 second after he's done saying a line. This means he will come at you 8 times. First I was trying to actually attack the wolves, but since there is nowhere to run, my advice is just to dodge and move. So we begin as mentioned, building damage again, repeat the Essence Drain and Flame Wall combo. Regarding his attacks, try to dodge as much as possible and avoid being frozen. As you can see, I fail at that many times, but do your best. The worst attack for me are the lasers that fall from the sky. Here I only dodge non-stop, but even by doing that the lasers are random, so you might get hit. Once this is over, you have a few seconds to begin building damage again, and once you've dealt enough damage and deplete his health bar almost to half, you will enter a second fog phase. This is really the part that sucks, damage resets and you need to survive once again. Honestly, throw some Flame Walls and just dodge, there is no need to fight. Once you're out of the fog phase, repeat the formula. I found that sometimes staying a bit close while your minions attack Geonor also helps, but you know, just move, dodge and keep the damage buff up. At this last phase, the lasers are different and they deal more damage, they come from the ground, but just keep dodging and try not to get hit because those lasers deal cold damage, so of course by slowing you down, you will be an easy target for the next laser. I was very frustrated by this moment because I hope I wouldn't see another fog phase, but I was wrong. Apparently you need to go through 3 of these phases, and that means that every time you need to build up your damage again as it gets interrupted. Now you see why beating this guy is so difficult at such an early stage of the game. It is truly a challenge, but the same mechanics, keep dodging, and this time use whatever you have left in your life flask. Don't be afraid to use it. I can't remember if last patch it was the same mechanics, but there are also lasers emerging from the ground this time, which is just ridiculous. As if surviving the wolves and Gionor wasn't enough, the game now gives you an extra layer of WTF to kill you. Once I noticed the lasers, I stopped attacking completely and I was just dodging in circles, which I strongly suggest you do the same. Once you're finally out of this horrible phase, hit Gionor with all you've got, attack with the combo we have been using so far, but most important, pay attention to the lasers. I think those are the worst. I was lucky here because as you can see, I ran out empty on my life flask, so this means one bad move and game over and you need to start all over again. Once you bring this guy down, celebrate as if you've won the Powerball and dance on top of his corpse. This fight is just ridiculous. So there you have it, it's not easy at all, but if a noob like me can do it, you can do it. I was going to select Huntress for this new league, but when I read about the new Lich Ascendancy, I dropped that and switched completely to Witch. So I hope this guide helps you. We reached the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far and found the video interesting or useful, please consider to share, like, comment or subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.